All right, Fernal Blessings. Excuse me. All right, we're back with another video. Before I begin, let me run through a couple of quick announcements. Time is winding down, just a couple more weeks of the 2024 yearly forecast readings. As I said, I've been super busy with those. So again, if I haven't been able to respond quick to emails, just understand this year, more than any previous years, it's been very busy with the forecast readings. But I'll be doing those just for a couple more weeks as we are in the midpoint of January, maybe about 2-3 more weeks max. If you want to schedule your 2024 yearly forecast reading, this is the time to do that now. All right. If you're interested in any other reading, a Klapothic demonic reading, a Santa Muerte reading, an Egyptian oracle reading, a shadow work reading, a deity reading, or spiritual consultation, or any of the aforementioned, shoot me an email at khnum19@gmail.com. If you are requesting a yearly forecast reading, please put that in the subject box so I see that, because I'm trying to make sure, again, I get those all scheduled before I stop doing them. And I will send you over the information on how to book any of the aforementioned readings. All right. If you want to sign up for classes, man, the Patreon page is growing exceptionally. That's the place you want to go. It's where I do a bunch of continual ongoing series of classes. I'm constantly adding new content, new classes. I do 3 classes every month on the Patreon page and a group ritual that we all do together at the end of the month. The way to do that is to go to patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3, that's the tier you want to join. That will give you access to all of the ongoing series of classes. Everything is organized, archived in the collection section. When you go onto my Patreon page, everything is in numerical order, so you can take the classes in order. There's also group ritual. Outside of the group ritual work, there's also ritual work and other group work in those classes. If you really want to take your path to self-mastery to that next level, that's what the Patreon page is designed to do, right? Other than if you just don't want to be that person that just listens to videos and reads books, but don't do no work, then be that type of occultist or left-hand path practitioner. If you want to get in there and really do this and do the work, that's how you want to do it. Patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. And also remember, you get access to everything in the archives when you join, not just from the day forward, the day you join moving forward. You get access to over almost 4 years worth of content, which is it's a lot, right? And again, I say with confidence, for the price that I'm offering this is ridiculous, right? I'm not charging you an arm and a leg, and I don't think there's anybody out there giving you the level of information and the deal for what I'm offering. And I say that out of confidence, not arrogance, all right? Also, check us out on the Instagram page, Primordial Chaos 9. Also, check us out on Facebook, Primordial Chaos, 2 words. I also upload all the new YouTube content to the Facebook page. And don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, my Cash App, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of that information is in the description box of this video that you're watching now. All right, you see the title, right? It never amazes me in spirituality where people catch on to a concept and they kind of run with it, okay? They run with it, they take something. In this case, we're talking about Kali Yuga and the cycle of Kali Yuga according to Dravidian or Hindu spirituality, Hindu or spiritual calendars and cycles in the Dravidian or Hindu culture, okay? It's when somebody finds something convenient, to me it's hilarious how they kind of run with it and use it for some type of doomsday shit, or it's just a catchy thing that they could promote. for a multitude of reasons. It reminds me, when I look back in the past, you go back to 2012, where everybody thought it was the end of the world. There's going to be a great cataclysmic event. The poles are going to shift. There's only a couple of safe havens to go on the planet. Some motherfuckers was trying to go back to Africa and all this crazy shit. Why a lot of this fanatical shit happens and then people take it and sensationalize it is people don't do their research. That's why. Okay? Having said all that, now the big thing is for this month, going into next month, we're going into the Kali Yuga cycle. And if you're familiar with what Kali Yuga cycle represents in that spiritual system, pay attention now. It's supposed to represent a lot of sickness, right? You guys were in the end of the year prophecy class. I didn't mention nothing about Kali Yuga, right? But everything that I'm telling you, I already explained to some of you guys that were in that class before all this Kali Yuga shit broke out. Lifespan shortened, cataclysmic weather events, a period of despair and darkness. So everybody's like, oh, you should get yourself prepared. You need to do this and that before this and such date, this, that, and the other. Here's the thing that fucking baffles me. You don't need to wait to get prepared. This is stuff you should be preparing for, been doing, and had consciousness or awareness. Now, it's very easy to take something from a spiritual text. Christians do it all the time with the Bible and correlate it to current world events and the current state or condition of the world. Because this has been going on my whole life. You can go back to the 80s, right? I'm a 70s baby born, grew up in the 80s and the 90s. And I remember in the 80s, they would talk, the Cold War, the nuclear war, this is a sign of the end. Wars and rumors of wars, get prepared. Every religion and culture can extract something from their text and fit their narrative. We have to be careful of that. One, when we're calculating cycles, obviously we can't calculate it according to our Gregorian calendar. And that's why the 2012 shit was all out of whack. Okay? Now, I'm not saying, and I've been saying this for years, that the planet isn't changing. There isn't mental, spiritual, physical shifts going on. This has been going on. It's been a continual process. What people have to understand is when these cycles happen, it's not you're going to wake up one morning and poof, it's just an instamatic change. This is a gradual process that has been building up, going back to when we entered the 2000s, really going back to 2003, leading up into the great mental shift in 2012 to the present day. So when we leave a cycle, right, and we do deal with cyclical time on the occult and the left-hand path. When we deal with cycles, when you're leaving one cycle, going into another, it's a gradual transition. Everything that they're describing, if you understand the cycle of Kali Yuga, has been happening for years. You're seeing an intensity and an increase in it. So what have you been doing when you've started to notice these changes? And this is the thing that baffles me. When somebody sees a concept, it's convenient, you can sensationalize it, it fits a narrative. Let me run with it so I can get clickbait, YouTube views, and let me make it sound like I know what I'm talking about because I'm so deep. So the question I have for everybody that's so deep into the Kali Yuga cycle, are you a consistent practitioner with Dravidian and Hindu cultures? Are you a yogi, a swami, a guru, master in that spiritual system? Have you really done your research to understand, quote unquote, what it is and what it represents symbolically and metaphorically and spiritually as opposed to literally? Because anytime there's some spooky shit or cataclysmic end of the world, first of all, as I said before, there's no such thing as the end. Nothing ever ends. Existence is to be. If you understand what energy is, that's why in basic science and quantum physics and metaphysics and science, basic scientific practice, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be manipulated. It's a very very simple explanation for existence. Now, it's hard for some of us to comprehend that because we're trying to perceive that in a three-dimensional understanding of person, place, or thing. You can't really fully understand, understand, overstand, beyond understanding, whatever the fuck you want to call it, unless you've done spiritual work and have had experiences outside of a three-dimensional existence. As I said, it goes over everybody's head. This thing called time, cycles is a convenient word because it means continual. A cycle is just something that continues, right? There's no end. So people got to stop saying in whatever system that there's some type of end of the world. Now, I'm not saying everybody out there is saying that, but there are some who are saying that. Is it the end of a cycle? Most definitely. Because this planet is affected by spiritual energy just like you are. The energy, and I'm not trying to sound like a fluffinator, but there's a science in that, the micro, the macrocosm, how the spiritual energies of nature and creation and the planet affect you. Shit. Excuse me. Basic science will tell you the composition of the minerals and the elements that make up this planet are in the human body. The same amount of water, roughly percentage-wise, that makes up the planet, about 70%, is the same amount of percentage of your body that is made up of liquid water and blood. Is that a coincidence? No. So of course you must be in tune with nature and the planet. Okay? This is just basic shit. People talk about this and act like it's so deep. My question is, what baffles me is, what are you reading? What are you studying? Why do we act like some of this shit is news? There's nothing new above and beyond the sun. Something only appears new to an individual because they just haven't been made aware of it. So don't think myself or anybody else that has a platform that teaches, comes out, yeah, it might mesmerize you for the moment. It might sound deep and heavy in the moment. It's just you haven't heard it before. So you think it's new. This is the problem. This is the difference between people who are followers and, as I said before, people who really do study and research as opposed to read books. People who just read books, they're followers, straight up. People who do their real study, due diligence, and research, these are the people that are mastering themselves. Why? Because people who really study, as opposed to just reading, they apply the information and the knowledge they're learning. So what I'm trying to tell you, this is not no news. But because it's convenient and it fits the narrative in 2024, okay, everybody wants to talk about it. Now, again, for some of you guys who are in the end of the year Patreon class, a lot of this stuff they're talking about, I mentioned this shit over before. I didn't even make it public. I didn't have to refer to Kali Yuga. Because those of us that are in tune with cycles and nature and our own spiritual power, we're already fully aware of it. You don't think we can sense what's going on out here? I don't need the Kali Yuga cycle to remind me. I could see it. I could feel it. I could smell it in the air. I could travel certain places. And I'm very good on tapping into vibrational energy and frequencies, especially when I travel. This past weekend, I was up in Sarasota, Florida. And it's an energy there. Not a bad energy in my opinion, but I'm very big on tapping into different spiritual vibrational frequencies. I go to some areas where I can see it's fucked up. It's negative. It's real bad energy. You could see, sense, and smell the death and despair in the air in some places you go. You could see it in some of the people. Some of the people look like zombies when you look in their eyes, clueless, lost. Those of us that are in tune, we can see who's getting it and who's not getting it. We could see the changes in the weather and nature. We could see all the conflicts going on in the world and what they mean and represent. I keep you guys abreast of this, but not in a fanatical way, where some motherfuckers just thrive off of conspiracy theories and cataclysmic doomsday stuff. Oh, we better do this. Oh, this, that. Everything is gloom and doom, end of the world, get ready, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is this. If the end came tomorrow, are you ready? Okay? Because if some disaster was going to strike in the heat of the moment, like some people think, not all, you might as well put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. None of us should be afraid of that. All I say is, just let it be quick. Right? Let it be quick if some disaster struck. I don't understand the logic sometimes in people's thinking. So what? You want to survive in despair and misery? Is that your goal? I just don't understand the logic. I don't understand the reasoning. Okay, we could see all these things that's going on here. We could see the children being birthed. These aren't regular children. You could see some of these children are warriors. Some of them are lost and confused, don't get me wrong. Some of them are just don't have a clue. But we see some of these children that are being born. These aren't normal children. And I'm a firm believer, based on my research, not just faith and ignorance, that the gods do birth warriors back into each cycle. Some of us were those warriors in this, what we're calling Age of Aquarius, right? Or the sun or solar, or going into the sun or solar cycle, right? I do believe the gods always incarnate warriors in these cycles as the guides. Some of us here that are teachers, looked up to as what you can call them gatekeepers, right? Some of us that are teachers consider ourselves gatekeepers, because what we do is we keep the gates guarded of the information and the knowledge that should only be shared with certain individuals that are allowed inside the gates. We're protectors of the secrets, right? I'm telling you something that goes beyond that. You don't think that there's a plan in place for those that are connected that know? Come on now. Come on now. We don't need to take something from a culture and run with the narrative. And I'm not saying things that are connected to Kali Yuga are correct. That's not what I'm saying. There are things connected to Kali Yuga that are correct. But the issue is the way some people are trying to run with it. Because it's convenient. Everything you're seeing that's described in that cycle is going on right now and has been going on and has intensified, I'm going to say, over the last 15 to 20 years. I told those, even though I wasn't on YouTube or in social media platforms like that back then, I was telling people when early to mid 2010, when everything really picked up heavy about 2012, I was telling people, for those that were around, that were coming to my live classes, whether that was in New York, whether that was down in Florida, if you were coming, I was telling you guys what that was. Understand the Dresden Codex of the Mayans. Understand the cycles and the calendars and what they were talking about, right? That was a Mayan prophecy, 2012. And again, because of a lack of research and spookism, people ran with it and were doing and saying stupid shit. Look, when Hollywood comes out with a movie, that's how you know it's bullshit. And I was telling people that. When they came out with the 2012 movie, because they figured, 2012 fever is running rampant the last year and change. And I can't remember what year the movie came out. It was around that time. What's his name was in it? I'm not good with actors' names, but you guys know 2012. It's the movie. And they tried to scare the living shit out of people with that movie. And like I said before, when they're putting a movie out on it and they're trying to profit off the narrative, that's how you know something seriously fucked up. I told you people, when you start seeing the powers that be, government officials, politicians, and this, that, and the other, when they try to escape gloom and doom on this planet, and you see them running and getting on space shuttles and shuttling out of here, that's when you really know something getting ready to come. If these motherfuckers ain't going nowhere, they know something that you don't know. Okay? And I'm just going to keep it simple. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect your spiritual journey and what you should be doing. Be aware, be conscious, be in tune, be connected. But don't get sucked under somebody who's got a narrative and they want you to run with them. Whether it's through sensationalism, spookism, fear, panic, doomsday, doom and gloom, and all that other bullshit. We don't operate on fear. A real God, goddess, spiritual master, gatekeeper, right? Don't operate on fear. I think I'm going to do a video on the gatekeepers. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that next. Because that's coming sharp and buzzing in my head while I'm talking. Okay? But that's not how we live. That's not how we operate. So I wanted to kind of, again, come on here to address that, clarify it, because as usual, When people see shit on YouTube and the internet, I get emails. Unfortunately, people just don't get it. I'm not affected and sucked in like most people are. I'm not saying all. I'm saying there's many people like myself who are grounded, rooted in their spiritual path, understand these things. So I'm not talking in reference to those folks, to those people, to those spiritual masters. I'm more so, this is coming straight at the conspiracy theorists, the fear mongers, the people who fear gloom and doom in the end and all this other crap, okay? It's for those people, okay? Let's be clear, okay? Let's understand what cycles are. And again, if you are going to reference a specific culture, I'm going to have questions about certain texts and scriptures you should be knowledgeable of to understand the context of what it's saying. Okay, because there's a lot of interpretation. Again, we see that with the Bible, right? There's millions of interpretations of the Bible. There's a gang of translations that men have to keep going back, and women, revising it because they're not even clear on what the shit says. So when you're researching this stuff, what translations are you coming from? Who did the translations? What's their background? This, that, and the other. That's how you do real research. Not just hear something. Because look, you can Google anything on the internet. It's going to give you the basic meaning and the basic breakdown. Right? That's easy. But you're going to have to dig a little deeper, do a little more thorough research, and understand that. All right? That's kind of what I wanted to touch on. I wanted to give you guys a better understanding. Understand the Kali Yuga energy, and don't get sucked into all the sensationalism, because again, it's going on in the present moment right now. It's intensified over the last 15 to 20 years. That's when this change, or the end of this cycle, preparing for the next change, began. I told you guys in the end of the year, because this is going to be more death this year than I've said this than previous years. And last year was a strong year of a lot of death. It was a lot of death, war, famine, right? Don't do what the Christians do. They go in the Bible and they go into the book of Matthew 24 and they find all the things about wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes and cataclysmic weather events. Now that's so-called in a book that goes back Christianity a little over 2,000 years ago. So do we really understand the cycle and what this is talking about? And what does Christ consciousness, as everybody loves to talk about, what does that really represent in regards to that? Just something for you to think about. All right. Is it a literal Christ, or is it talking about a unified awakening? Something we'll talk about maybe at another time. But anyway, just wanted to give clarification on that. Again, if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual reading, hit me up at khnum19@gmail.com. And I'll send you information on how to book a reading or a spiritual consultation. As usual, always send a full weekly availability, not just one day, and the day and times you're available. That speeds it up, all right? So again, my contact email address, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, the links for the social media pages on Instagram and Facebook, and the direct link to my Patreon page to sign up for classes, patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. Tier 3 is the tier you want to join. All that information is in the description box of this video that you are watching right now. It's going to do it for me on this video. We will talk soon. Infernal blessings. I'm out of here.